Festival. Thank you so much for joining us for sixth edition. So right now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna jump right into it, and I'm gonna go around and ask everyone to briefly introduce themselves and also talk about their projects. And I'm gonna start with Mo, if you can just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your film.
Sure, thank you, and greetings to everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you today. My name is Mo Wani. I'm one of the producers of the short film Immune. My other producer wasn't able to join us this evening. Interesting story with our project. It was set in a world that had just been hit by a pandemic, and surprisingly, we had planned and shot this pre-coronavirus. We literally filmed it all in February of last year, and suddenly, before you know it, March hit, and there was lockdown, and our film hit. And we thought, this isn't going anywhere. Nobody wants to watch a film about a world set in a pandemic. So a very interesting time for us. We're very delighted that this has been accepted into the Imagine This festival. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. And Meryl, if you can just briefly tell us a little bit about yourself and your project as well.
Yes, so I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Meryl,
I'm sorry.
My apologies.
Did you want to add something else? No?
No, all good. My apologies.
Oh, okay. No worries. Meryl?
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Meryl Roche. I'm the director of Haute Cuisine. So my short film is about a girl who is trying to make her way into a star Michelin kitchen, where she's the only woman, and it's difficult because it's a very competitive and very masculine world. It's settled in France in the French gastronomy era, and the chief and all the staff is very demanding with her because she's the only woman there. And at some point in the film, she cuts herself, and a few drops of her blood mixed with the sauce. And as a chef come in, he tastes the sauce and he said it's perfect. So she set herself on a very monstrous path to reach perfection.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that. And Susan, if you can just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your film.
My name is Susan O'Brien, she, her as my pronouns, and I made the film Giselle's Story along with Giselle Bird, who is on this call. There she is.
Hi.
And this film was about Giselle's experiences in the Black Lives Matter protest, but also just talking about her experiences as a Black trans woman, and a little bit about her personal biography. And I'll pass it along to Giselle if she wants to chime in with anything.
Oh, sure. Hi, Giselle.
Hi, Susie. Hi, and Susie 1, Susie 2,
I know.
whichever one you all choose, whichever number you all choose to be. I'm back in the office, in the COVID-safe office, thank God. So hence if you hear some background construction, I apologize. But yes, Giselle's Story is my first time being on screen since acting school, which was almost a decade. And Susie asked me to follow my life in the midst of the 2020 uprisings for Black life, and specifically the lack of inclusion for Black trans life. And it was something I didn't ever expect to do, but it turned out to be one of the most soul fulfilling things that I've done in quite some time. I now work in talent management, so it's always helping elevate artists. And so it was very unique to be from the back in front of the camera, and to be able to share just a little bit of who I am, and hopefully inspire people who are coming into the entry.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And Maria?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Maria Brandley. I'm the writer and director of the film A la Kachu, Take and Run. And first of all, thanks for having us on your festival. I feel very honored, and it's absolutely amazing to meet all of you and see your beautiful films. So I'm very excited about that. And my film is about a bride kidnapped girl in Kyrgyzstan. We shoot it in Kyrgyzstan, and I'm based in Switzerland. So it was a lot of work to come into this culture. And I heard about bride kidnapping the first time when a friend of mine was in this country for vacation, and he came back and told me, and I was so shocked that something like this exists, and so many girls on the world, not only in Kyrgyzstan, also in other countries, fall victim of this tradition. It's a kind of forced marriage. And I wanted to use my voice as a filmmaker to show that something like this exists. And I hope maybe something changed for all the girls who fall victim of marriage by force. So this is what I did the last 4 years now.
Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
And Myrta?
Hello, everyone. My name is Mirta Vida. I am the writer and co-producer of a short documentary titled Second Responders. Our main producer, Julissa de la Cruz, sends warm regards. She cannot be here because of work. And our short documentary is about the support staff at the hospital where the first case of COVID was diagnosed in New York City. The doctors and nurses, of course, are being praised as heroes, but there's also a staff of hospital workers that have also been witnessing the ravages of the pandemic. And so we wanted to give these people their due. We're very, very proud of this work. We interviewed many, many people. The ones who ended up making the cut include a pregnant janitor, pregnant during the pandemic and still showing up to work, a chaplain, a logistician, and of course, the head of security, who had to turn away so many family members who wanted to come see their ailing families at the hospital. We are just so, so proud of this short documentary. And again, I am thoroughly validated as a filmmaker because we were accepted into this film festival. It's just an absolute honor. And my producer and I, we started screaming the second we received the email. So we're just very, very excited and very honored to be here. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And we're honored to have all of you guys as well. So I wanted to ask you guys, how did you guys find your story, and how did you go about getting funding for your story? If you can go, Mo?
Sure. So I am part of a screenwriters group from a talent campus in London, and I had known the writer for a year or so, and he had some fantastic stories that he had written, mostly science fiction, but with a lot of depth and characters that we really liked. And I met with Farley Media, who are my co-producers and the director on this particular piece, who also liked the stories, and there was a synergy between us all. So we decided to make this back in 2019, towards the end of 2019. Funding, we predominantly got through private funders, people who wanted to see us develop as filmmakers. So it was people that supported us in the process. But we also did a crowdfunding campaign to finish the film. Absolutely phenomenal response for the crowdfunding campaign. Can't thank our supporters as much as we can. Fantastic people, and fantastic crew when we filmed, and cast phenomenal. Absolute blessing this piece was, and all of us resonated with it. And as I said before, who knew that the pandemic was around the corner when we filmed it? We had some absolute challenges during the filming, but I won't go into that now. But that's how we got our funding.
Oh, great. And what platform did you use, if you don't mind telling us?
Sure, we used Indiegogo for our crowdfunding. It's one that I'd used before for other purposes, not for filmmaking, and it was a platform I was familiar with.
Oh, okay, thank you. And what about you, Meryl?
The story is coming from quite a dark place in my life. I had a boss that basically did a psychological harassment. I don't know if that's the right word. basically was setting goals for me that were impossible to reach. That was I transcripted to like reaching perfection, because it's something that it's always a step further. That's the analogy I worked with on my film. And then got it from there. It's just that for this job, I had the impression that I was literally living for my job. It's an expression that we have in France. I think you have you get the idea. And that's why I wanted to like settle this story into kitchen, because I thought the parallel was interesting between what the pressure that you have when you're shooting and the pressure that you have when you're doing a service in a restaurant, especially if it's a fancy restaurant, with the high goal that you set for yourself. So that's the parallel. That's where the story comes from. And also regarding the budget, I won a contest for my screenplay, where I got pre-bought by a French television channel. So that helped me a lot to find producers, because before that I didn't have any producers. So having that contract basically helped a lot, because producer now told me, thought, well, the story is going to get shown anyway. So that was a very good start for my project. And then with the producer that I found, they were absolutely great. I had an amazing time working with them, and we go to different, we call it guichet in France. So you have several places where you can ask for money, and based on your script, they're going to say, okay, we're going to, if the script, if they consider, the committee basically consider that a script is good enough, they're going to give you money. And you have to go in different, we have areas in France where, depending on where the departments that you want to shoot in, they can give you money. So that's how you build up your budget, basically.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you for sharing that. And I want to ask you, being that you won an award for your script, was it much easier for you to get funding and, I guess, producers that wanted to get involved? And also, are you a first-time filmmaker?
This is my first produced short film. Before that, I did another short film that was auto-financed, that I looked for the budget for myself, etc. So this time is basically the first one was just passion, and this one got professional support. But it's regarding the other question about the winning the award contest for my screenplay, it definitely helps, because before that I sent my screenplay to different production companies, and because it's a film de genre, it's quite hard to get produced in France. So a lot of the feedback that I had before having this award was basically the script is original and we like it, but it's going to be too complicated because it's a film de genre. So no, thank you, basically. And then when I got the award, which basically is money, because the production, the channel, the TV channels is going to give the producer money to get the film done. So the producer were much more interested in the film when I got that part. And then I found some producers that were very serious, very, that really liked the screenplay, that really understood what I was after. And yeah, it was really amazing to have that going, because I had worked on the screenplay for 3 years before I found, before I had the award, and I found the right producer. So that was quite a long time.
Oh, great. Thank you so much for sharing that.
You're
And
welcome.
Susan, thank you.
Hi, Giselle, are you there?
Oh.
She might be. Oh, Giselle, do you want to talk about the genesis of this, and then I can talk a little bit about the funding?
No, absolutely. For us, the genesis of the whole story was Susie. I invited her over to my house for a home cooked Southern meal, because that's what us Southern girls do. And, we just started talking about our respective lives, our own respective journeys into womanhood, and how they intertwined in such unique ways, and also how they differ. In particular, one thing that Susie had brought up to me was how we were seeing this huge lack of talking about Black LGBTQ plus voices in the movement for Black lives. And that ultimately sparked a further conversation about how there is still, unfortunately, a divide in the Black community versus the Black LGBTQ plus community. You know, we still see that harsh divide, that harsh line drawn. And so, you know, you don't find many of our stories unless you see it on social media and it's a murder or an unsolved case of an attack on transphobia, homophobia. And so what Susie asked and wanted to showcase was, she said, your journey has been a little bit different. And I do tell people, and I say it in the film, that it's been like a fairy tale to come from the Southern Black family that loves and accepts you and supports you for your truth and for who you are. And to shed light on that, because I think we see, whenever we see a story of trans people of color, it's always a story of trauma. We don't ever see joy within our community. And so, you know, Susie was something I really want to showcase that. And so, Susie, I'll let you take it too.
Perfect.
Oh, thank you.
And then that perfectly summarizes it. And then when it came to actually making this project, we just both felt so passionate about getting it seen, getting it recorded. And so we made this, and I'm saying this because hopefully other filmmakers who are watching this feel encouraged that we made this on $100.
Wow.
We were scrappy. And it was just Giselle and I producing it. I shot it. I edited, and then we got a couple of our friends to help with sound mixing and providing the soundtrack, but that was it. And so you can make a film if you feel passionately about it. If it, you know, needs to be said in the moment, you're gonna make it work no matter what. And then end up in a film festival, hopefully as fabulous as Imagine This.
Oh, thank
But,
you.
we just both really believed in the project and just acting on it and filming and documenting what her experiences were, so that hopefully people within the community and out of the community could feel inspired by it and feel motivated in enacting change.
Wow, that's amazing, with such a small amount of budget and getting your friends to, you know, support you. That's great. Thank you for sharing that. And Maria?
Yeah, so as I said, first time I heard about bride kidnapping because a friend of mine was in Kyrgyzstan for traveling. So I have never been in Kyrgyzstan before and started to research about it. So I had a long journey by my own to know everything about the culture and the people and the tradition. And then I found the production company. It's called Filmgerberei, and they supported me, and we did this way together. So the Swiss Film Foundation was not so happy because there's not the Swissness. So it's another country and another language, and not so many people believed in this film, but a few. So we got some little money, and then we got help from a lot of people. So human rights foundations, women's rights foundations. So we had little pieces to come to our goal, and finally we made crowdfunding, and there were so many people. They helped us, and so we definitely could make this film just because of the help of so many people. And it was not easy to bring the two countries together because I couldn't go out with my camera and start shooting. So it always had to be planned and organized, and I had to fly there and thanks God there's the internet, because I couldn't make something like the first castings, location scouting. This only could happen because we had people in Kyrgyzstan and we had people in Switzerland and we had the internet and we came together. And so we did the organization of this, and I've been there for casting, but this costs money, so I have to wait until we had a little budget to go there, and then finally, long time later, we can go there and shoot the film.
Oh, nice. And if you could just like touch a little bit on how you actually found the actors in a country that, you know, you're not even from, and it was your first time being there. What did you use to find the actors? And also, after making the movie, how did the community receive the film?
Yeah, I worked in a casting company for 6 years at this moment, so I had a lot of experience, and I'm happy about it because it helped me a lot. And the first time I had to make this sheets about the main cast, but it's not so easy in Kyrgyzstan. You can't just Google Kyrgyz actress and find 200 women. No, it's not possible. So I have to find a person who helps me. And this person was kind of, I do everything and I also do casting in film. So perfect. And I came to Kyrgyzstan. I had 3 days and we made something like an open casting. So I was a little bit afraid now nobody will come because it's international. It's critical about a tradition in their country. But there were 160 people in 3 days. So I really had to be fast and see who can fix it in this role and who will fit in this role. And the first girl, she came and it was like a love of the first sight. So she was it. I knew it. She will be the main character. And she stayed 3 days with us, and I had no backup. So the moment when I did the casting and the moment I shot it, there were a year difference almost.
Okay.
And I really was afraid she wouldn't do it because some person of her family will say you can't do that or something like this will happen, but she did it, and I'm so happy because she was amazing, and it was really interesting to work in a language I don't understand. So it was really a lot of work that they trust me and I can trust them. So I had a translator on my side just to say me something like she did a mistake in the dialogue, but I could really look just on the feelings and emotions, and it was an amazing experience to work on that way. So don't understand what they say, but can I feel it or not? And I'm not every actor in the film is speaking English, so it's not possible to talk to them the whole day, but we're still in contact, and really I miss them so much. The pandemic came, so I couldn't go back until now, but I hope the day will come, and I'm absolutely sure there will be a huge party with all the people because they were amazing.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that. And Myrtha?
Yes, so Julissa and I had a bit of a
Oh,
different
I'm sorry,
journey.
Julissa. Sorry about that.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay.
Hi. So yeah, Julissa and I had a bit of a different journey with second responders because we had to film during the pandemic at a hospital. And we were very much aware of pandemic fatigue. And so we wanted to make sure that we put the film out there in a timely manner. So we pretty much approached it with a Kevin Smith model and just kind of maxed out our credit cards and asked for a lot of favors, like a lot of favors. And that's how we were able to get the first cut of the film. Now, we knew at that point we were kind of tapped out. We knew we needed some help and, just getting a better cut of the film, getting a higher quality kind of editor, not just a good old friend doing us a favor for the family rate. And so thankfully, through some contacts, I was able to get a hold of Fork Films. And I had the honor of speaking with Kat Vecchio and Dr. Abigail Disney, who were the ones who facilitated a grant to help us not only finish editing the film, but also be able to submit it to film festivals. So that was a bit of the journey, the financial journey. The way we came about the story itself is because Julissa's father is the head of security at St. John's Episcopal Hospital, which is where the first case of COVID was reported in New York City. It is a community that, yes, it's becoming gentrified, but still serves, people of color. And one of the things that Julissa and I made a promise to each other when we met in film school and became good friends was to tell the stories of the people who look like us. And here we're handed, the story basically, by the filmmaking gods. We had a lot of conversations with her father and the stress that he was experiencing as the head of security of this very large hospital. Communities of color are very, in my experience, very family oriented. And he felt a lot of pain having to turn people away because they couldn't go into the hospital to see their loved ones. And that's kind of where the story part of it started. The hospital was very, very generous. And they were very, very careful. We had to follow a lot of precautions and we were happy to do so. And slowly but surely, we were able to kind of stitch the story together in a couple of weeks. And that's how we ended up with the story part of it.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay. So Mo, if you could just tell us, the viewers, what kind of camera you used, and if you could just tell me a little bit as well about the lighting that was used in the film.
Well, so that's an interesting question because I don't actually know, to be honest. My co-producer, Leslie Ann, who is her husband is the director on this particular piece, Robert McFarlane, were more on the technical side of the filmmaking, and I can find it for you if I put myself on mute, but I actually don't know off the top of my head, and I do apologize. Ignorance, I do apologize.
Oh, that's no problem. And were there any, if you can just tell us some of the challenges filming during COVID, how you worked that out to be able to finish the project?
Well, we had, yes. So we had challenges up in the filming of it, and this was in February. And it was a 3-day shoot. First day, pretty easy, no dramas. We thought next 2 days are going to be absolutely fantastic. Day 2 hit, we had an immense storm, which was bringing down trees. Roads were closed, absolutely crazy situation. We were filming outdoors on that particular day, and we couldn't get to our locations because of trees down in the road. And we had to think on our feet and find a new location literally on the day as the tree came down, and we couldn't get to the location. And the interesting thing was, or the sad or interesting, is we had one of the actors who was with us, his girlfriend was caught in the storm and had a car accident and was rushed to hospital. So he had to leave us on set. And he had the makeup of somebody who was affected, from a pandemic, because our world is set in the world of a pandemic. And they wouldn't let him in the hospital because thought he had COVID. So we had all of this going on, and we thought, okay, day 2 can't get any worse. Day 3 was an indoor shoot. We got to the location and they had double booked it. So we had literally had a battle with the location to try and convince them that we had the right to be there. So we had lots of dramas in the shoot. It was obviously intensified when lockdown then happened and we couldn't complete the shoot. Sorry, not complete the shoot, but do ADR and things like that. We then needed to do that all through lockdown. And it was literally a case of sending ADR equipment equipment to one of the actors' houses after they completed it, getting it, sterilized, sent back, and then again, same process, go to the next actor. It definitely was a challenging shoot, to be honest with you. I mean, we did everything we could, but we couldn't plan the weather and we couldn't plan, the double booking. But very, very challenging times.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. I have another question. Usually films like that, when it's almost like the end of the world or you have a virus and you see how people change, what do you want people to take away from the film with the mother that she's pregnant and she's scared, she's worried?
To be honest with you, there were lots of meanings to this film when we first started it. And for us, it wasn't so much the world of the pandemic. I mean, now it's hit, it has a different relevance. But at the time, it was more looking at the world that we all live in and us being, potentially mothers of the future, thinking, what would the world be like for us? And, we see how the world was changing, particularly in some countries where the government or there are bodies that try to control us or control people and try to make life a challenge for people in some countries. And we can look at realities now in Afghanistan, what's going on there. We can see in the pandemic here with insisting that everybody takes the jab for the best of the world. There's lots of things that we can look at in terms of its meaning. And I think for us, for the film, at least for me, is now looking at the film and just saying, what, we're all in this world now, but we all have to stand up for the next generation. Whether that be, climate change, whether that be through, this pandemic or for other ways, is that we all have to protect the future, and how we find a way of doing that is up to us. But it's a responsibility that we all have. So I think take whatever you feel after watching the film. There were lots of meanings of this story when we started.
Thank you for sharing that with me. Meryl, I did watch the film and I have to say that it was very dark, but for some reason I just want to keep watching it. And I think it was really good. How did you come about with the blood scene and why was that used? And I guess there's a lot of pressure working in the restaurant that most people don't know. And most chefs are men. If you could just share that with us.
Well, as I said before, the idea of the blood came from the expression of just like bleeding yourself for your work and having a lot of pressure on the first job that I had myself. I was working for someone who's always setting goals that were impossible to achieve. So that's why I switched to cooking and the pressure that you have in a star Michelin restaurants in anywhere in the world, well, as especially in France, because we're good at cooking. If we can say something that French people are good at, it's cooking. So that's why it's set in France. But yeah, the pressure is enormous, and it's as it's coming from a very dark place in my life. I said it in a very dark tone because that's how I felt at the time. But yeah, that's basically the thing in most restaurants you see, because it's very competitive, because it's a very hard work, most of the time the chefs are working, I don't know, 80, maybe 100 hours a week. It's enormous hours. You start at 8 in the morning, you finish around midnight. You have a lot of pressure because you always put yourself, basically you have to prove yourself every day when you're at the restaurants, because the people that were there yesterday are not there today, and the food has to come out as perfect as it was yesterday, so that it has to be today, so the pressure is constant. And I felt that it was the same, when you're shooting a new script. Basically you put your whole heart, in the movie that you're shooting, and what you did before, basically it doesn't matter, because the film that you're shooting today has to be the best, and you have to give everything for the current project that you're on. So that's the parallel that I had between the two worlds, cooking and cinema.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And Susan, if you can just let our audiences know, at what point did you feel during all the marches last year that you felt compelled to tell the story of Giselle?
Yeah, right in the beginning, actually. I was making another documentary, also in Imagine This, which is very exciting, called Resist
Yes.
the Resistance Revival Chorus. So I was focusing on kind of two different subjects during the Black Lives Matter movement. And in the midst of going to these different protests, what Giselle said earlier, we were noticing that there were no specific call outs for Black trans lives. And so that's when I contacted Giselle really early on in the beginning. And I said, I would love to hear your perspective on this and work together on making a film that shows the other side. So Giselle, do you want to chime in? Are you there? Oh, there she is. So I would say it was like a few weeks in to.
Oh, no, absolutely. And I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I'm disappointed. There's so much
All
construction
good.
here. But
Okay.
no, it was very early on in the bigger movement. And I'm very close friends. And she's also a client of mine with Raquel Willis, she and I were having a lot of conversations about how we didn't see our community reflected. And so, she had gone to task to create Brooklyn Liberation and several others. And she was telling me, you need to come through, you need to do this. And I'm like, of course, my mom down in Georgia is terrified of hearing that their child is going to go out into a protest of people, especially in a global pandemic. And, I shared my location with my boss, who's a few feet away. But he was like, share me your location, keep me posted on where you're going. And, I have been to about maybe one or two protests before Brooklyn Liberation, which is what we see in the documentary. And so there was a comfort there, but still there was so much fear of the unknown because we didn't know, this is before vaccine was created. This was before we really understood the double masking effect. So it was very early on, but I'm glad we did it when we did because we all in that time frame had one common goal, and that was to stay alive, whether it was from social injustice and violence or this unknown, disease. We had that common shared goal, and it was very unique how it brought all of us together in one moment in time. And you saw only this part of everyone's face, which was great. But, it was, I think, the perfect time because it's like a timestamp because we won't see it that way. Hopefully we won't have to continue to see things this way. But, this past year we did Brooklyn Liberation for trans youth. And people were now vaccinated. People had gone back to work into their offices. So the crowd, there was a different feel than it was. There was some urgency because we had seen enough, yet seen too much of it. And that's why I really think it was the right time for us to join the masses and really rally for the truth.
Thank you. And how hard was it, or was it easy to get like the subjects, her family, to come on board and be part of the documentary?
Oh,
yeah.
It was very, it was very easy. My mom was very supportive of me, and for her, it didn't matter. She wanted to be a part of it. She said, because as a parent, I want to show people that you continue loving your child. But she's like, you're forever my child. I don't care how old you are or what you do. She's like, you are my child. And I love you, I support you, and I uplift you. And my niece, it was very easy to convince her to pick up the phone.
Oh, great.
And get on FaceTime. But But yes, and like my friends were very supportive. I'm very blessed to have the people in my life that I do.
Yeah,
Oh,
also
thank you.
we were
Thank you.
just viewing it as being a more intimate piece too. We did this film because we wanted to show Giselle's experiences and bring that forward and put that on the front lines, and share a different side of the movement. But our intentions were, it's funny enough, but our intentions were never to get it seen at film festivals, which is great that we got into such a great, fabulous film festival. But we viewed the whole process as being so intimate too, and just showing this side that feels very personal, and familial. So I think that also helped in just bringing her family on and her friends too, because it just felt like Giselle and I making a film together, just the two of us. So it was a special process. I've never really had a process exactly like this, and it's one that I truly value.
Oh, thank you so much. Maria, if you can just share with the audience what you would want people to take away, and if you think any changes have been made in the country after the film.
Yeah, I think it's a lot about respect. So a woman is not just a thing you can take it and now it's yours and you can take it with your to your home, and now she's making your work and you can decide about her life. I think this is very important and sad that I have to say it in 2021, but yeah, a lot of people are thinking like this. And not only in Kyrgyzstan. I love Kyrgyzstan. It's a beautiful country, beautiful people. But I met some guys who told me, yeah, I just took one. We were standing on the corner and said, okay, we're taking the next girl, which will come around the corner. And this is not right, because it's a human being, and it's not, you don't own this person, and you cannot decide how her life will change. Maybe she wants to go to school, maybe she wants to marry another girl, something like this. And I think in little ways there's so many problems in this world still based on something like this, missing respect for other human beings. And I really hope we can change something and get an open mind and respectful community on this earth, not just in different countries on this earth, because it doesn't matter where you came from, who you are you which religion you're from, it doesn't matter. We're all human beings, and we should be free and treated with respect. And it all starts men, women. It doesn't matter. No, you can be whatever you want on this world in this year. And please see that. And I hope we all have a little more kindness and respect for each other.
No, thank you so much. And I'm glad that you made this short. It's very important. You're right
you.
that, it's a shame that it's 2021 and we're still seeing things like this. And it's important to have more films like this so that people know what's going on. And hopefully one of these days, it'll end. Thank you. Martha? I could remember, everything that happened last year with the hospitals, with COVID, and most of the times the stories were about the doctors, the nurses, and we didn't see enough stories about the first responders, like the person that's cleaning the hospital. Those jobs are just as important, and also the security guard or the nurses' aides as well. If you can just tell me why you guys felt that their stories needed to be heard as well, and what was the process, and if it was hard getting them on board to tell their story.
It was extraordinarily easy to get them on board to tell their stories. They wanted to be heard. One of the things that we kept hearing over and over in all the interviews that we conducted was, why are we not up there? Why are we not also being recognized? Because we're dealing with just as much of the fallout as the doctors and the nurses. And it's not about taking credit away from the doctors and the nurses. But once again, there is this entire staff, these entire communities of people in these support roles that, as you mentioned, are just as important. We ran into a lot of just a need for these workers to just feel validated. That's all they wanted. They just wanted to be seen, and they wanted to feel validated in the work that they did, and that they did out of love. This isn't just a paycheck for these folks. They really believe in their community. They believe in taking care of one another. And one of the things that the chaplain was talking to us about was the importance of, it's not just about building community, but it's about thanking community, the healing power of gratitude. And when these workers were not seeing that, it was adding undue stress to them. One of the things that the CDC came out with during the pandemic was that these workers, the doctors and the nurses, and of course the support staff, are experiencing PTSD because of the ravages of the pandemic, because of how unexpected it was. And so here are the nurses and the doctors being given free meals and free passes and all kinds of really cool, awesome things. But then the rest of the folks were not. So it was very easy to get them to sit with us and talk to us, to share with us, because they wanted to do it not just for themselves, but for the others, the other second responders that were being overlooked. Julissa and I had to take turns sometimes. One of us would have to, be sort of, the bad cop and present a professional front, while the other one went around a corner and kind of cried a little bit quietly about these stories. There were a lot of compelling things that kind of stayed on the, the cutting room floor, if you will, because there's still a lot of pain. There's just a lot of pain that these people are experiencing, that they're managing, and they're not being given the tools and the resources to manage it. And that was part of our mission in making this film, was in showing, listen, once again, we're not taking credit away where credit is due, but there is this breath of life that is not being recognized. And we're hoping that, in making this film, that, people will stop and think, and people will not just treat a janitor as, someone who cleans up. This is someone who is a part of an ecosystem that is literally keeping people alive, saving lives. But yeah, we definitely had those moments where we kind of have to tag team it and be like, okay, I need to have a moment because this is intense. This is really intense. We gotta help these people. We gotta do our part.
Oh, thank you so much. If you guys can just tell us what you're currently working on and where people can find you on social media, or if you have a website to share.
Yes, so myself and the filmmakers behind Immune are working together on a feature project. It's a contained feature with a female lead, and I think there's very few single character contained features out there, and it will be about a chef. So I'm happy to hear Meryl's story, but I won't say too much just yet. But we are in the process of developing. That will be our first feature project, which we're really excited about. And currently, yes, we all have websites. We have our company websites, but you can also find a little bit more about us and the project of Immune on our website and social media, and that's immuneshortfilm.com.
No,
Thank you very much. I'm very inspired by everybody's films, and I don't know if I get a chance to say it. So I'm really, really, congratulations to all of you. I'm very impressed and honored to be part of this festival. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. We're happy to have you as well. Meryl?
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just going to bounce back on what just Mo said. Incredible stories shared here tonight. So thank you everyone for what you share and the passion that I've seen in all of the people that share their story tonight. So that's the first thing. Currently, I'm working on my first feature the screenplay of my first feature, and I just sent today the latest version to my producer. So fingers crossed for me tonight, guys.
Congratulations.
Hope they like it. So yeah, that was a big part of my time recently. And yeah, you can follow me on the Instagram. It's Meryl Rush. You'll find me, and the amazing journey that I had a chance to be on with this short film. And thanks again for including me in this festival. I'm really proud to have shared my stories with all the incredible stories that were here tonight.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for sharing your story. And Susan?
Ditto on what Mo and Meryl just said. Without taking too much time away, just congratulations to all the filmmakers, and thank you for including our film in such a wonderful film festival. We're just so excited to be sharing it with all of you. And you can find me on Instagram at Red Beret Productions. I normally have a red beret on, not today. I am not on brand. I have missed the memo. But I'm currently directing Me Too's 4-year anniversary campaign. So watch out for that in a few weeks. And then Giselle and I, we actually were part of the Tribeca Through Her Lens filmmaking program last year, where we have been working on a narrative project together. Giselle?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Maria?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you going to go, Giselle?
Oh, I was just saying thank you all. I have to actually run to a meeting, but I was just saying thank you all so much for sharing your voices and sharing your stories and just reflecting this crazy time that we're in, being able to bring some reflection of that and bring some normalcy to allow the power of storytelling to push through it. There's so much darkness. We're still finding so much light in how we tell stories. So thank you all. And
thank you for joining us.
Love, of course.
Maria?
So I really want to thank you too, because I really enjoyed this Q&A and see your powerful voices. So I'm really impressed about your words tonight. And yeah, I'm working on a feature right now. I'm writing. It's also based on true events. It's about women in World War II, and she was helping a lot of people, and nobody knows her story. And really, I think it's time to bring these heroes out to the world. So I'm writing about her at the moment. And you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Maria Brandley, or the film website, alakachu.com, on my website, mariabrandley.de. So yeah, you will find me, and maybe there's somebody who wants to share a story with me, and I will really love to hear it.
Oh, thank you. Marta?
Yes, again, my congratulations to everyone. This industry can be very male, and so I'm just so excited about all this wonderful, intelligent, brilliant, feminine energy. And thank you once again to Imagine This for validating our little documentary. We are featured on documentaries.org, and you can find me on my Instagram, Mirta Vida. And I am currently working on expanding my career as a screenwriter. My latest feature screenplay was top 10 in the Nichols Academy Fellowship, which is very exciting. So just keep on praying for me. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. It was amazing having you guys. And thank you. And please continue to support these amazing creatives. And we hope to meet you guys again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.